On TikTok, we have been seeing the term cowboy copper all over. This gorgeous color is like a subtle kind of coppery tone with burgundy undertones mixed in together, and it looks absolutely stunning. It's very soft and perfect for the fall. And luckily you can achieve this color using natural pigments to dye your hair, such as henna, indigo, and cassia. So in this video, I'm going to explain to you how you can achieve that color naturally and right from the comfort of your own home. Welcome, my name is Khadija. I'm a leading henna hair color expert, Ayurvedic hair care specialist, and let's get into this gorgeous color perfect for the fall. I'm going to start explaining how you're going to be mixing these to get the color that you're trying to achieve, that cowboy copper tone. But this also does depend greatly on your natural hair color as well, because the way that henna deposits, it does not strip and remove your natural hair color. You have to realize that you're going to be working with your natural hair color and you have to manipulate it depending on your natural hair color. First, I want to talk about the recipes and color combinations that you can use with different herbs. So let's start with if your hair is dirty blonde or if your hair is gray, like just completely gray, right? Or even has some grays in it. It's always best before we're starting any of these hair coloring, combinations, is to do a strand test. You could take some hair from the back of, area of your head, so that way you could discreetly do a strand test. Another way you could do a strand test is also if you want to go ahead and take some hair from your hairbrush, and then you can strand test it in that way. It's kind of a little bit more realistic to do it from a strand, like a bunch of strands from the back of your head, so you can really see what it is like against your skin tone as well at the same time. But both options will work. So now you have to start by choosing the henna powder depending on the exact tone you want. And how do you choose is the question, right? So if you want coppery tones, then ideally you're going to have to start with either the Supreme henna powder or the Moroccan henna powder. You could use those. Even red raj is great, but you're definitely going to need to cut it with cassia, at least equal parts of both. And you're also going to be using some water with that mix. Warm to hot distilled water. Remember, never boiling and never cold. You'll have your cassia in your mix, and then you'll have your henna, and you're going to use 50-50 of each to make that soft cowboy copper color. And optionally, when you're using henna and you don't want it to be too dry, you just add a teaspoon to your mix of the aloe vera powder. That's going to help give it a lot of slip, and it's going to help moisturize it as well. So always use aloe vera powder when you need that added moisture if your hair is on the dry side. You want it to be a bit more of that burgundy copper, then you definitely want to make sure that you're using the Supreme henna. Even Rajasthani henna powder is really good because it'll push that burgundy tone. You can also add a little bit of indigo as well. So basically that proportion should be 3 parts of your henna to 1 part indigo, and you can also even add 1 part of cassia or bovada, and that's also going to help you get that burgundy copper tone naturally. And you're going to be leaving this in also for about 90 minutes, and that'll get you that gorgeous color that you're looking for. And do note, if you try it out the first time and you want it to be a little bit darker, you can repeat the coloring application, or next time leave it in a little bit longer, maybe 2 or 3 hours to get it to be really rich, especially if your hair is on the lighter side or you have grays. You don't want it to be too bright. You don't want that turning like that orange tone at all. So you definitely want to manipulate that color by doing an added application to deepen it up, or also leaving it in for a longer period of time. You will have to keep track and write all of this down and monitor this, because getting this tone on your particular hair will take a little bit of trial and error to get it just right if it doesn't come out exactly the way you want it the first time. And I also wanted to say that it is good when you are starting slowly with the amount of time you leave all the henna hair coloring treatments on your hair, because if you go too dark, it's hard to go backwards. So if you're trying to build up color, it's better to start off slowly and take small steps, and then get up to a higher level of getting it darker on your hair and whatnot. So take your time. So basically take your time and know that you could build up the color as needed. So if your hair is already like light brown to medium brown and you want to get that cowboy copper tone, just note that you're starting with a darker base of hair color naturally. So you're gonna get more of a little bit of a darker kind of coppery tone. But again, if you're gonna be getting it to be more of a burgundy, then you definitely need to use Rajasthani henna or the Supreme Henna blend will work the best for you in particular. If you want it to turn out more coppery, then you should definitely be using Moroccan henna powder and even the Supreme Henna or Red Raj, but you have to cut it with cassia, at least equal parts of each to get that tone. And again, mixing it with the same liquid, like that warm to hot distilled water will work perfectly for this. If you use teas in particular, teas can be darkening. So if you do want it to be a little bit darker copper, you can use some tea, like some black tea, to get it to be a little bit darker. And then if you want to get that nice color deposit for your shade of hair color, you definitely want to make sure you leave it in at least 2 hours, because again, your hair is on the darker side. So you want to allow it to penetrate your hair a little bit more to get those results. So if your hair is on the dark brown side and you want to get that cowboy copper tone, then you just gotta leave it in your hair longer, 3 hours at least, and use the same henna powder that you're gonna use for the burgundy or the more of the coppery tones. Follow those recipes as you need to so you get that color that you're looking for. Now that it's been a few hours, you can see the dye release. This is what it looks like. So you push back the henna, the top layer, after letting it sit, and it's gonna be like a lighter shade of green. That top layer is gonna kind of be like a burnt tea green, and see, it's lighter green underneath. That's one way that you know that the dye release has been achieved. Generally speaking, it's really hard to mess henna up. The indigo gets darker like this, a nice dark sheen, kind of almost metallic-y. When you pull back the spoon, you see it also a lighter shade there. See how it's lighter underneath? So you know that that dye release is being achieved. And oftentimes a mistake that people make is that they mix it constantly as it sits. If you're constantly mixing it and not letting it sit on its own, you're not gonna see the dye release. You're gonna be blending the color over and over again. There's no top layer being formed because you're not giving it enough time. So definitely let it sit and achieve a dye release. You can cover it up or leave it dye releasing in the air open like this is okay as well. And you can also tell that the aloe vera powder, what it does for our indigo powder is that it makes it very creamy and smooth. The water even absorbed really better. So I love using aloe vera powder in henna hair coloring because it helps the texture so much. And when your henna and your indigo are ready, even if you're using cassia, whatever cowboy copper tone you ended up deciding to go with, you're going to be combining them once they're both ready in the same bowl together. And now you can see it's pretty thick, right? I did that on purpose. I like to mix it up very, very, very thick because I want to be able to control the amount of liquid that goes into it, because sometimes one of these herbs can sometimes go a little bit runny, and it's very hard, to keep it nice and smooth when it's so runny. You don't want to be putting runny paste on your hair. And then you can check the texture to see how thick it is. This is actually very, very thick, too thick. So when it's too thick like that, you're going to add more liquid. Again, you don't have to warm it up this time. If your henna and your indigo are ready, you can just add the liquid that you need. You're gonna make it to about a thick yogurty type paste, and that is sufficient. Remember, you can definitely check out our application video that we have right here on our YouTube channel that will help you on how to apply it. You're gonna be applying this on damp hair strands. You're gonna do 4 sections in your hair, maybe 6 if you have a lot of hair, and then you're gonna color and apply this all over your hair from the root to the ends. And then you're gonna wrap up your hair, make sure that it's fully covered all over as well, even those stubborn edges, and then leave it on for the amount of time that I recommended, depending on the cowboy copper tone you're trying to achieve. And then you're going to wash it out with our cleansing co-wash, because first of all, it's gonna add back a ton of moisture. It has a lot of slip. It's going to be able to take out all the paste out of your hair easily. It's going to detangle your hair at the same time, and your hair is just going to be left feeling so nice and soft and well hydrated. Make sure you have a strong shower head because you really got to get all this paste out. If you don't, your hair and scalp are going to feel itchy. And then allow it like 1 or 2 days to fully settle in your hair because the color naturally oxidizes. That's just the nature of henna. And then you're gonna see the true color results 1 or 2 days later after your application. And then make sure after application as well, you're always moisturizing, you're caring for your hair in the best way that it needs so that it can be very, moist and hydrated, but not too heavy, nothing too heavy that will pull the color out. Make sure to always use color safe products. And there you have it. You are ready for cowboy copper hair. So I thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell so you don't miss any of the great videos I have coming out for you. And I absolutely hope you loved this video. Actually, I know you love this video. This color is absolutely so gorgeous. It's such a beautiful blend of those tones, and just naturally achieving that without chemical is a plus, plus, plus. So I'm gonna see you next time. See ya, bye, love y'all.